Hi everyone, welcome to part 1 of our presentation series on JD Edwards Business Services Integration, presented by eFlux. My name is Saad Faisal and I'm going to be your host for this series. As you are aware that with JD Edwards EnterpriseOne, Oracle has provided much easier integration of third-party services with your existing E1 applications through business services. This presentation will be a hands-on demonstration on how to integrate third-party web services with JD Edwards using business services. So these are some exciting times here for the JD Edwards developers. So let's get started. Let's take a look at the agenda of our entire presentation. We'll be taking a close look at what are the different components of a business service integration. Next, we'll be talking about our sample case scenario that we will be working during the hands-on exercise segment. After that, we'll be talking about some common assumptions we need to consider for the primary audience of this presentation. Next, we'll begin our hands-on exercise and we will dive right into creating our data structure. In part 2 of this video, we will continue with our business function and discuss the XRCS API for XML communication between business function and business service. Next, in part 3 of this video, we will continue with our business service development using JDeveloper. We'll talk about the major components of a business service and how they communicate back to our business function. Next, in part 4 of this video, we'll talk about unit testing your business function and business service for ensuring a smooth case of trouble-free deployment and execution. And finally, in conclusion segment, we'll discuss some important points to consider during design and development of your business services. So starting with the overview, here you can see a diagram that describes a typical scenario for JD Edwards Business Service Integration. It provides all the elements of the puzzle and how they fit together. It usually starts with the HTML web server where a call is initiated from an interactive app. This call usually invokes a business function through enterprise server which communicates to a business service through a communication medium based on XML message transport using the transaction server. The business service resides on a business services server, and from there it connects with the external third-party service provider either using Oracle Enterprise Service Bus or Business Process Execution Language (BPEL). Once the data is received from the third-party service provider, the business service returns the data back to business function through XML message transport, and business function returns it back to the interactive app. Security server in this equation provide all the required authentication, whereas the EnterpriseOne database serve as the hosting ground for all the event tables. Now let's take a look at our sample case that we will be covering in our hands-on exercise. Our objective is to verify a UK location by providing town name to an external web service. We need to respond with a confirmation message along with county and postcode information. We will be using www.webservicex.net for this exercise. This is a very useful website that hosts over 70 plus web services and provides a lot of very useful services. So in conclusion, in contrast to the diagram, here you can see that our interactive app will provide the town name as an input, and our business service will respond back with a confirmation message, success or failure, along with the county name and postal code information in case of a successful execution. So before we start with our hands-on exercise, let's begin with laying down some common assumptions. This hands-on exercise will heavily rely on writing a business function in C language along with business service in Java. Therefore, knowledge of both C and Java is necessary to make the most out of this exercise. In case you don't have experience with C and Java, I recommend taking a course in both C and Java language. Although detailed explanation is provided along the way for each course segment, however, knowledge of both C and Java is undeniably necessary. So as mentioned earlier in this part, we will concentrate on creating our data structure for business function, whereas in part 2 we'll continue with our business function. So also, as we outlined earlier, we need to have one input parameter, namely the town name as a string in our data structure, along with the 3 output parameters for response, county name and postcode. We will be receiving county name and postcode information from external service provider whereas we will formulate the response parameter ourselves based on the successful or unsuccessful execution. Okay, so now with that pretty much laid out, let's move right inside Object Management Workbench and see how we are going to create this data structure. Okay, so here you can see we are logged in Fat Client. I've already created a project here. So let's begin with the creation of our data structure. Click on the Add icon. On the Add Enterprise Object to the project screen, select Data Structure under Object Library and Objects and press OK button. Next, on the Add Object screen, provide name for our object. Give it also a detailed description. As this is a custom object, so let's provide 55 as the product code and press OK to save your changes. Next, on the Data Structure Design screen, let's switch to Design Tools tab and press the Data Structure Design button. This will launch the Data Structure Designer. So let's switch to Dictionary Items tab and let's search for a data type that is around 100 character string in length. From the available search results, let's select Source Description and drag 4 copies to the list in structure members one by one. Let's now name our data structure members. Our first parameter is called SZTown_name, and this is an input parameter. So let's select it under input output column by clicking once. Our second parameter is called SZResponse, and this will be an output parameter. So let's click under input output column twice to specify it. Our third parameter is called SZCounty, and this will be once again an output parameter. Our last parameter is called SZPostcode, and this will be once again an output parameter. Now that we are done, press the OK button to save your changes and return. So now we are done at this step, so let's press OK button to return to OMW. This concludes our part 1 of this presentation. In part 2, we will continue from our created data structure and begin our development with our business function. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.